Well, this thing looks nice, but unfortunately it has some issues. All right, so let's take a closer look at this Husky stool here. This is the Husky workshop stool. It was on sale for, 50 bucks in the holiday sales, and in my last video I showed that you could get it for about 20 bucks. Now, 20 bucks is not a bad deal for a shop stool. However, I had some comments that said, hey, you maybe not want to buy this shop stool. There is some issues with it. So you know what? I decided to assemble it anyways and then just sit on it once and see what happens. So let's see what's wrong so far with this Husky shop stool. All right, so right off the bat, I already have a cracked little thing here. This is going to be one of those little plastic end pieces that goes right on the bottom of one of the legs. I guess they're called maybe like a little leg cover, a little plastic cap there. I didn't jump on this thing. I just sat on it and it cracked pretty much right away. So, it still does work. I might throw a little bit of glue on that just to kind of keep it on, keep it from scratching the floor, but that kind of sucks already. That thing is already failing right out of the box pretty much just like that. So one complaint that I heard that luckily I don't have, I've heard that these screws, when you tighten them in, and I did use an impact driver to tighten these in, is that they start pulling through this metal. Now I put all 8 of mine in and I'm not seeing that issue anywhere on my screws. I will say these do strip out super easy. That's the one downside. And I've heard some complaints that, yeah, it's pretty hard to get a socket or a wrench in there at all. Yeah, I kind of noticed that too. I just used a deep socket 10 millimeter and I was able to get all of mine on relatively easy with an impact driver. You can tell though that these screws are quite cheap and they do like to strip out really, really easily. Oh, I'm flipping this thing over and this thing falls right off, of course. What is that on here? There's like a blue paint. It's weird. I don't have any blue paint in my garage. That must have been from Husky. That's unusual. All right, and then I have 2 more issues to cover here. I know it's just a shop stool. It's not like it's a car or a side-by-side RZR, but yeah, it's kind of crazy how much issue you can have with this little shop stool here. All right, so one of the screw holes here that goes into the actual seat cushion is actually totally stripped out. I'm not sure if this was a manufacturer defect or what, but you put the screw in and it just kind of falls in. It doesn't actually screw in or anything. I tried screwing in a few different ways. I tried a drywall screw. Nothing really gets it. I mean, it still works fine. It's got the 3 other screws in that are no problem, so it does work there, but kind of disappointing that one of the screws doesn't go all the way in. And the final issue now is these are some super cheap ball bearings on here. This thing, it turns, but it is super, super stiff. I'm going to try to add some, lubrication to this and see if I can make it work a little bit better. But, it seems really, really stiff for a shop stool. Not that that's really that big of an issue, but it does seem just a little strange just how stiff this thing is. And I'll see what I can do to maybe fix that myself. One final thing, kind of just a minor cosmetic thing, is one of the bolts, I think it was this one right here, I noticed in one of the little plastic baggies that all the hardware came in, there was actually some rust stains on it. Like maybe it got wet or something, but the box was totally fine. No evidence of water on the box, but one of the bolts did come actually pretty decently rusted. Or sorry, the nut here came in pretty decently rusted. So, not that's really going to, maybe affect the chair too much or the stool too much, but just something to be aware of that, hey, you might have to replace one of the bolts here. And I'm not too big into the cosmetics of this, but if you notice, all the bolts stick out about a ½ inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch farther out than they really have to. And that's a little annoying if you're really big into the cosmetics. I'm sure you could always just, take a grinder and grind all these off there. Not a big deal. For me, I don't really worry about it. They're kind of on the inside of the stool here, so they're not a huge deal. Oh, man, fell off again as I'm moving this thing. All right, for 20 bucks, when I say this stool is worth it, I mean, yeah, sure. I could still get the 1-year warranty. I could call up Husky and try to warranty this thing out. I could try swapping it back out at Home Depot. Honestly, it's not really worth that. I can repair this thing to make it work for me for the price. It's not that big of a deal. Would I recommend this? Probably not, but is it still a pretty cool stool at a pretty good value if you can pick it up for 20 bucks? Yeah, sure. Is it worth the asking price of 50 bucks? Absolutely not. So guys, take care. Hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to like and subscribe.